Okay, good afternoon guys and welcome to another technical analysis update. I'm sorry this is a late one. I've had quite a few things to do here in my private life, so apologies for that. It's going to have to be a little bit of a quick one, and I'll try and make it as short as possible, but it usually runs for about an hour. Anyway, it's about 5:45 and today is the 6th of May 2022. So we're going to start with the S&P just because it seems like Bitcoin is just following this at the moment. And on the back of the FOMC meeting the other day, what happened was that the market had priced in 75 basis points to tackle inflation. When the press conference came out and they announced that they wouldn't be doing that they would only be doing hiking 50 basis points, the price pumped. And you can see here that we basically tapped support here, which is that level that I gave to you guys at the beginning of the week, which is this low volume node, and indeed it did act as support and we rallied from there. Okay, the next low volume node, which is this one here, right, acted as resistance. It also had confluence with the developing VWAP value area low. So you can see that caused a little bit of resistance, and then of course the people digested this, the fact that it's still a 50 basis points increase, which is much more that they originally planned. Just bear with me a second. Yeah, so they had originally planned for 25 basis points, then they announced 50, so the market priced that in, and then when they said, no, it's not going to be 75, it's definitely just going to be 50, then the markets rallied, and then of course we hit resistance, and people digested that and thought, hang on a minute, this is still a 50 basis points, so the market dumped as well. There was no significant news that caused this dump, but it is just really inflation and geopolitics and everything else that's going on. For now, without all this rhetoric and narrative, for now you can see that this low volume node is acting as support. As long as this is significant support as well, as you can see, that's a big low volume area there. Okay, so it's been tapped twice, so I expect that to, unless there's some really significant news, I do expect that to hold. Okay, of course if the price comes all the way down here and starts kind of hovering like this, eventually it will break through, and when it does, it's going to be ugly, and it's going to be violent, and it's going to be quick, and it's going to end up way down here. And of course, once we're down here, you know, there's two things can happen. Either this turns now into resistance, right, and then the market gets acceptance inside of this volume cluster, and if it does that, then it's going to go all the way down to 3,600. okay, and that's really something quite bearish. Okay, that will drag Bitcoin with it without a shadow of a doubt. So, you know, with that in mind, for now, like I said, I don't want to be dooming here. For now, the problem is we have not recovered. We're still we're stuck here for now, right? We're stuck in this distribution. There's the bearish distribution down here, and there's a much better distribution way up here. Okay, and this is the line in the sand, right? And so is this one, if that makes any sense. So for now, we kind of rotate here, right, until proven otherwise. However, like I said, if we get acceptance here, it's very likely that we come all the way to the bottom to firm up balance by touching both sides. Okay, if indeed we've just bounced here and we're now going to tackle resistance, then it means this is just going to rally, and we get above this VWAP close here. You can see this VWAP, it closed at this level here, 4,200, right? It's around about here, and the market will be a lot more positive if we are above here. Okay, so what we need to know now is, can we just hover at resistance and break above, or is it just going to be rotating sideways, or what's it going to do, right? So you don't have to keep an eye on this. I'm going to keep an eye on it myself anyway, so that I can tell you guys what's going on with this. But you know, this is the things that I'm looking for. The problem that we've got right now is that we are below that previous year's VWAP and below the currently developing value area low, the current 2022 VWAP value area low. Okay, so again, we need to get acceptance above here. If we get acceptance above here, then the markets will rally and it will drag Bitcoin and crypto with it. Okay, so with bearing that in mind, of course, we've already tapped it twice. This is resistance until proven otherwise. You know, this is what the charts are telling me. Of course, anything can come out on the news. The majority of legacy markets are usually fundamentally driven as well, not just technically driven. So any fundamental bit of news, like, you know, Putin's dead or whatever, this will rally. You know, if there's something like bad news, like Putin pressed the red button, then this shit's going to plunge. It's just the way it is, right? So you'll have to keep that in mind. But I'll keep an eye on this for now. And like I said, 4,000 is support, 4,260 is resistance, okay? So that's where we are with the S&P. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. And we start here. I've got the Coinbase chart here. Let me just tidy this up a little bit. I haven't looked at this for a while. So let me just put you in the picture first. Let's start with the weekly chart. Okay, looking at the weekly chart here, I'm going to put it on log scale. You can see that this candle here is an order block. That's the last down candle before this pump. Okay, it creates liquidity. It's a liquidity. It's an order block. It's like a demand box, if you like, and as such, the market has bounced on there a couple of times. Let me just slow down the view apps a minute. Just mute the view app so you guys can see. Okay, I'm going to take. I'm just going to delete these. I had some alerts on. I'm going to take the alerts off. It's not wanting to do that. Okay, doesn't matter. Do you know what? It really doesn't matter. But you can see that we've bounced there once. God damn it. Sorry, I'm rushing a little bit because I realize I'm late. So my apologies. Right, start again. This is a weekly order block. That's why I've got WOB there, right? You can see that this, when we rallied and it came back down again, we bounced on there 3 times already, okay? The liquidity of this order block did not get consumed completely, okay? This did not go all the way to the end. So I expect this to hold as support for now, okay? So you can see that the third tap here is actually higher. The bidders chased, you know, the buyers chased this up. It didn't even come lower, right? So this will hold as support, or should hold as support for the time being, okay? The top of that is around about 35,000 or 35,500, okay? So this is the weekly view, so on the weekly chart, and you can see that we've got a little bit of support below us, okay? If I was to extend this, you can see that the lower edge of that is also the edge of this high volume cluster here. Okay, this is you know, it's not the end of the world, but at this edge here, this lower edge here is really the line in the sand. Let me just take the magnet off, it's pissing me off. This here is a line in the sand because, as you can see here, there is hardly any volume down there. Okay, take it off the log scale. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. You guys can see that, right? So everybody's looking at the downside now. Everybody's, because we've dumped, everybody's calling for 28k and 20k and everything else. The truth of the matter is nobody really knows, and it doesn't matter. We trade level to level. But I'm just going to illustrate here that this area here is crap. There's nothing there, okay? It's just low volume, right? So if anything, that should hold as support. Okay, it's support until proven otherwise. So until we even get to those levels, we've got this weekly order block, and we've also got the line in the sand, which is basically this edge here around about $31,000. Okay, the edge of this order distribution. So there's no need to panic just yet. Okay, this just means that Bitcoin is at a discount. Of course, it all depends on the S&P and everything else that's going on in the world, but you know, there's no time to panic just yet, okay? Of course, we could go lower, but if we go lower and we break this level, it's going to be horrendous, because I believe that we will smash through this very, very quickly, okay? And the next level of support for me is round about where this edge here is. I'm just going to put a little line there, okay? Round about there like this, right? And it has perfect confluence with the previous all-time highs, with the 2017 all-time highs. Okay, so that's basically where the most volume was traded there, and that's why we've got a high volume cluster there. All right, but even then, I mean, in comparison, the real volume starts way down here, around about 12,000. Is it worth us talking about those levels just yet? I don't think so. We've still got all of this to fucking smash through. All right, so just bear with me. Okay, I'm trying to do like a breakdown of it from the higher time frames. So before anybody starts panicking or whatever, right? So anyway, we've got 35,000 as a level of interest for support. Okay, so anywhere within inside of this order block, somewhere between 31,000, 35,000, that's a big order block, Baz. Yeah, you could say that. Of course, there's going to be loads of intraday trades, and I'm going to show you the smaller time frames in a minute. But you know, this is just so that you got a bit of a map, if you like, a mind map of where we are, right? So anyway, 35,000 as support. Okay, this level here, the top line that I've got another alert at around about 37,600, that is resistance. Okay, and the reason, let me show you this on the daily chart. The reason I've got that there, quite simply, is because it's not only it's the edge of this high volume cluster here. Okay, and not only that, it was support, and we just broke below it. Okay, so it's going to be resistance until proven otherwise. Okay, on this occasion here, for example, we kind of went up to it and we stayed here for like a week, just kind of hovering at resistance, and we broke through. Here, I think it was like 3 or 4 days here, and then we eventually broke through. Okay, so it's potentially, this could do this, right? It could do something like this, but we don't know that. Okay, so what am I looking for? To be perfectly honest, I need to see, and I'll show you on the market profile in a minute, I need to see the markets really push above here again, okay, and start to maybe create a little range there, okay, before we rally. The reason for that is because, like I showed you here, look, it's a weird double distribution job there, right? So let me just do it as one, as you can see that, right? Even though it's divided here in the middle with a low volume node, okay, so that's going to be resistance around about 41k, right? If I put the VWAP on, you'll see what that 41k is. It's exactly here. It's the currently year's VWAP, which is exactly where that low volume node is. Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to say is that even if we break above this orange line here, it's not the end, it's not, that's it, we're safe now, right? We've still got this huge level at 41k to break through, but this would be a good start, all right? Unable to break above this, if we start ranging here like this, right? There's going to be, let's say that this is a range, right? There's going to be loads of stops down here and loads of stops up there, right? So what I want to see then is if we break above it, I want to see that hold as support, retest and hold as support, okay? If it doesn't, if it comes all the way up here like this and then falls back inside of this range, that's bearish and that's a short signal, and I think we go to the bottom of the range and lower, right? The opposite is also true, right? So let's say that we're ranging here, we break to the downside. If we come and test this here and fail to get above that range, okay, then we're going to go much lower. That's your short signal. If, however, we come back inside the range and retest this as support again, then I'm entering long, and I'm going to be targeting first this level here and then that level here at 41k. All right, so that's the higher time frame view of things. All right, and I'm just, this setup occurs everywhere, on the 5-minute chart, on the daily chart, or whatever. You know, it's looking for a range and a mousetrap setup. Okay, so usually we break out of the range and then we either it's a fake out and we fall back inside the range, which means that it was short, or we actually go retest it and curl up, and that's a successful breakout. Okay, it's the same for the downside. Okay, mousetrap is basically down here, deviate back inside the range, confirm this is indeed support, and then we break out. All right, and everybody down here that had all the stops got triggered, and everybody that was breakout shorts that were basically betting that this was going to go down get trapped. All right, so that's the setup. That's the, in sort of like generally speaking, the mousetrap setup. Okay, but so if what I'm basically trying to say is we have to break above 38,000. Okay, it's the value area low of this VWAP here. Okay, value area low, or the -1 standard deviation of the currently year's VWAP. All right, and it's also the edge of a high volume cluster. Right, there's a big ledge there, and on top of that it was previous support. Right, and if we look at the smaller levels here, short-term levels, you can see there, right? So that's the edge of the high volume cluster on the top right. Just in case you guys are new here, this here is the yearly chart. Sorry, this is the daily chart with the yearly VWAP. This is the quarterly VWAP. This is the monthly VWAP, and this is the weekly VWAP. Okay, so that you guys know, right? So we're looking here at that top orange line, right? The top orange line is this one here. So it has confluence with the weekly VWAP, right? It has confluence also, as you can see here, I just drew this. I'll do this again, right? I'm drawing on the top, on the bottom left here on the weekly, right? But look at how it lines up perfectly with key levels everywhere, right? So that's the weekly VWAP. It has perfect confluence with the monthly VWAP there, perfect confluence with the value area low of the quarterly VWAP and of the previous quarter close. Okay, and it also has perfect confluence with the quarterly with the yearly VWAP value area low. That is, you couldn't get much more confluence than that. That is a significant level that needs to be taken, and I'll show you on the market profile why as well. Okay, so it's even more confluence, but 37,600 is the level, right? This here is the line in the sand, right? And this here should act as support. All right, but this is the big level that we need to get above, 37,600. Okay, get above that and I'm happy to go long. Okay, even though we've got resistance at 41k, that's exactly where I'd be sort of targeting, right? So let's say that I'm going to do it on this one here so that you guys can see it on the other charts, right? So let's say I'm going to do it on the bottom left. Let's say that we come all the way up here, we break above it like this, right? And we consolidate like this, and we're above that resistance. Well, if we rally up, this is where I'll be taking profits, around about 41k, right? I'm going to make a little cross there, maybe around about here, so that you guys can see on the chart, right? So on the top right, you can see that's the quarterly VWAP there, right? It's also the yearly VWAP, and it's also on the 4-hour chart here, the previous month VWAP close. Okay, so I know that all of these lines now are starting to get a little bit confusing, but I'm trying to sort of like explain it the best I can, really. So I hope that is clear, right? It is key that we break above 38k, 37,600 or something like that. If not, then we consolidate and we might even go lower. Okay, well, if we can't break above that, we're definitely going to go lower. But it's just how long does this order block, this weekly order block that I was talking about, is going to hold for. Okay, so something's got to give, and we're kind of range bound right now. Okay, so we're going to be range bound between 35,500 and 37 or 38,000. Okay, so it's a $4,000 range, and I expect the price to do something like this. All right, I'm on the top right. Okay, as you can see there. All right, I expect the price to do this until we break to either side. Okay, break to the downside, then it's fucking mayhem, and this is the last line in the sand here, right? Break to the upside, and then 41k is your target if you are long. All right, so again, the same situation like I explained on the daily. It's like, you know, we've got a range in between these two orange dotted lines. Okay, if we break to the upside, fall back inside, that means we're going to go lower. If we break to the downside and fall back inside, means we're going to go higher. The confirmation of that move is if we bounce on that orange line after the breakout. Okay, so it's as simple as that. So I hope that's everybody's clear on that. I'm going to move on to Exocharts a minute. And I'm going to start with the monthly chart. Now, this is split by month, and these are 4 profiles. So obviously April, March, February, and January, right? So the whole year right here in 4 profiles. This blue gray line rectangle that you can see in there is basically the value area. How did I get that? If you're new here and you're not sure how I do that, I just merged the 4 profiles before because they kind of overlap, as you can see. All the value areas, they overlap pretty much. So as a result of that, I joined them all together. And that gives me the value area high and the value area low, and that's where that rectangle is. So why am I showing you this? Because the current profile, this month's profile, I'm going to expand it. And before I expand, I'm going to show you, right? You can see that we had value up there, okay? We did break below at first, but then we got back above it, all right? So I'll show you. We'd broken below a couple of times there, and then we broke above it, right? And we fell back inside. But up here, we just completely smashed all the way down again. And we're out of that value, okay? Where does that value sit? 37,800. Okay, so it has perfect confluence with what I was showing you with the value area lows of the monthly VWAP, etc., right, of the yearly VWAP. It's exactly the same thing, but displayed slightly differently with the profile. So it's very important that we recover that level, because if we don't, we're going to go much lower. This is 4 months of price action that we've been ranging inside of this here, right, between these 2 levels, between 45k and 30k for the whole year. And now we're out of that value area. It means we're in an imbalance, okay? So we need to find balance again, and preferably, of course, for the bulls, we want to find balance back above. If not, then we're going to go much lower to try and find that balance. It's as simple as that, okay? Obviously, there is balance, like I said, around about $31,000, okay? So there's another profile that goes way back. I'm not even sure if I can show it on here, but there's some, yeah, the profile doesn't go back as far as that. It's something that we got to fix. But we'll be able to see this on the candlestick charts because you know, like I said, you can see that it's got perfect confluence here. So 37,800, right? So that's the level that we need to get above. All right. So moving on, let's go on to the volume profile. This is the daily chart, and you can see that basically the market had kind of like rallied a little bit, right? We'd priced in that 75 BPS. We rallied a little bit on that FOMC meeting, and then for some reason, I think obviously as we hit this low volume area, you can argue that's got nothing to do with the news. This is just technical, all right? I like to think it is. Everybody's looking at the same thing. But you can see here, got a massive low volume area, right? Where does the price reject? Right there. Right? So, okay, so we basically got rejected here on the low volume node, and we looked for balance down. Okay, so we first took that naked point of control that I had highlighted before. So that one's taken now. So the question is, are we going to go and take this one here at 33,000 and the other one at 32,000, or are we going to go up first? Okay, so we've got that one at 41k. So again, we've got one here at 33 and 32, and we've got one at 41k. All right, this one seems a little bit out of reach because at the moment we just need to get above this line here, that 37,800, okay, which is previous support. That's kind of where we need to go, back inside this value area, okay, the value area low. All right, so as you can see here, right, that's what I'm talking about, this composite volume profile here. All right, so that's basically it. We either break above that or we're going to go lower eventually, okay? But for now, there's no point trying to call out 20,000 or 28,000 or whatever. We trade level to level. There's no point of trying to predict all these predictions. Just kind of annoy me a little bit, to be honest, as you can tell. But yeah, I'm looking at 34,000 for support. Okay, we've also got that naked point of control there, and if that fails, then we've still got 32,000 as a naked point of control as well, and we've got the lower section of that green rectangle of the weekly order block. Okay, so that's what I'm saying on the volume profile. There's not really much else to be said here on the footprints. Let's have a look. Yeah, so basically loads of liquidations, all the stacked imbalances get taken out, right? And you can see that quite a lot of people are bearish here. The great majority, let me just take the VWAP off a second. And it's just worth noting that we are above the VWAP now, okay, the daily VWAP. This is important, and I think that if we can hold that, that means that we go up, okay, for now anyway. But you can see at the lows everybody's selling, at the highs everybody's buying. The great majority of the candles there were blue. Look at all the bars are blue, okay, and down here at the bottom these guys are trapped now already, okay. As you can see, that was a up thrust candle with the great majority of the volume at the bottom, and it's the great majority of it is sell volume. All right, same happened here, so we rallied, right? They get liquidated, we go down. Those longs there get liquidated, we go up. The longs pile in again, they get liquidate the shorts, and here we go again. So basically we've got a few buys here, a few apes coming in again, right, at the top here, but there's also plenty of sells. So it doesn't, we can't tell where this is going to go. In terms of, you'd have to watch the footprint for that. So I'm getting a little bit sort of lost in giving you all this information, to be honest. I should be just giving you information for the weekend, but I just want to show, just want to see what's going on here with the longs and the shorts. Okay, so yeah, there's plenty of shorts opening here at the highs and plenty of longs opening here as well. So this is probably going to cause a bit of a whipsaw. But anyway, let's not watch the footprint. I'm just giving you a higher time frame kind of analysis, and that's pretty much what I've got here on the monthly volume profile. So let's have a look at the daily market profile. Wrong one. Doesn't matter, I can do it on this one, it's fine. So we're still kind of inside the previous value now. In fact, let me just choose you the other one so it's easier to illustrate. Okay, we're inside today's value. Okay, we need to break above this previous day value area low, okay, for us to get a chance to move up. Okay, it would be cool if we could get back above that 37,600, 37,800 or 38k, just to be just to make it easy. We've got plenty of single prints there. Let me just take the stacked imbalances off. Okay, we've got remove that as well, so you can see all the single prints there, right, and they start around about $38,000. okay, so 37,300 saying there. Oh yeah, so the whole thing, just bear with me a second, something's happened to my chart here. Single prints, okay, there we go. All right, so it's just the settings have changed, but you can see here we've got plenty of resistance above with these single prints. Okay, break above this and it's, you know, off to the races, and we take out this naked point of control up here and possibly even 40,500, but this remains key, these single prints here, which is perfect confluence with that value area low. Okay, so I've banged on about Bitcoin for too long now, so let's just move on to a different chart, and I suppose we better look at Ethereum. So I'll make this bigger and we'll look at Ethereum USD. Let's have a look at where we are. I hope everybody's clear. If you've got any questions, please ask in the chat and I'll try and ask them to the best of my ability. In fact, no, let's just take the VWAP off, take all these lines. Well, the lines, I left the lines there for a reason, so actually we're going to leave them on. Right, balance areas. The balance areas that are the rectangles that you see here are basically the high volume clusters. Okay, so when I draw like this, right, like a volume profile, this type of thing, that's basically a balance area. That's what I refer to as a balance area. Okay, so each of these rectangles is basically a balance area or an area of consolidation, or a range, or whatever you want to call it, right? And we've got rejected from the top there, and we got accepted back below. Okay, so now the most likely scenario is that we come and test the other side of the balance, okay, unless we can get above and find the balance up here again. Okay, so let me just explain this a little bit better. Okay, I had the VWAPs on to show you something. So this green line here, I put as a green line as support because it's the value area low of the current year's VWAP. Okay, this blue line here, as you can see, lines up perfectly with the previous year VWAP close. Okay, so that was support as well, and we kind of bounced there like yesterday, right? And and a few days ago as well. Just here, we bounced there, and then we bounced there again, and eventually we broke below, tapped the value area low, and now we're kind of trying to get back above it again. Oh my god. So this remains resistance until proven otherwise. And eventually the yearly VWAP remains resistance as well until proven otherwise. As you can see here, we've not actually fallen completely out. There's a high volume cluster. The cluster is huge, right? Although you can argue that it's a double distribution. Okay, so you can say that this is one distribution and this is a different distribution, right? And you'd be quite right to say so. Okay, so at the moment it does look like we are inside of this distribution and we're going to maybe travel to both sides of it. Okay, but if we break above it and we get inside of this distribution here, then we've got a very good chance to go and test $3,600. All right, so I'm trying to give you a sort of an impartial sort of look at it rather than just thinking that everything's going to collapse down. Okay, when things are at the lows, it's the best time to buy. Everybody wants to buy when the price is expensive and everything's pumping. When everything's dumping, everybody wants to panic sell. So I'm trying to put things in perspective. Yes, we broke a few key levels, but the S&P is at support, Bitcoin is at support, and Ethereum is held up pretty well. I mean, we haven't even visited the previous year's value area low, which is what happened to Bitcoin. So Ethereum holding up pretty damn well. All right. So that's the daily chart here. Okay, so let's move on to quarterly, monthly, and let's have a look at the 4-hour chart. Okay, so on the 4-hour chart you can see it's not that horrendous, right? We bounced on this level of support. We're now kind of struggling to get above this. This is the value area low of the current month's VWAP, right? So this is the monthly. So we could potentially just kind of like range here between 2,600 and 2,700. If we break, there's a low volume area there. If we break above that, right, then the next level of resistance is this one here and this one here. Okay, you can see also we've got that one there. All right, so on the lower time frames, if you like. Not very structured. I didn't really spend enough time looking at the charts before I started this, but I'm just going to try and find levels of confluence, okay, like I did with Bitcoin. So let me just bear with me a second. Okay, so levels of interest. It's the value area low there. You can see it's painted it everywhere on every chart, right? Another level of interest is this level down here. Another level of interest would be this here. I'm going to make that red as resistance, and the edge of this cluster here also red as resistance. Okay, in between we've got plenty of little levels like this that could act as support. So I'm basically just looking, as you can see it's marking it out on all the charts, right? But I'm just looking at the volume profile here. Okay, so low volume node there, low volume node there, and there's another one here around about 2,500. Okay, and it's acted as support. And now when we look at this with all the other charts, you can start finding confluence, right? So value area low, this one's an important one. We've already bounced there. Okay, this previous level, I mean, for now really on Ethereum, what I would say is that we need to break. We're not even, I mean, it'd be nice to break above $2,974 to $3,000. Okay, let's say that if it breaks above $3,000, we're safe. If Bitcoin decides to be dragged down or whatever, then we could potentially come and see these levels down here. The levels down at support are 2,500, 2,200, and eventually $2,000. Okay, those are the levels that you'd be looking for support or to bid and to enter long positions. All right, so that's what I'm seeing at the moment. In terms of resistance, like I said, we've got this level here, 2,800. We've got 3,000 and 3,170, or 3,200, just to be on the safe side. Okay, just like that. All right, and then of course we've got that one there at 3,600. Okay, and you can see that that's confluence with the previous year's value area high. All right, so this one here, 3,000, has got confluence, or it's very close to the current year's VWAP as well. All right, so we've got pretty significant levels, but Ethereum is respecting them. Okay, we bounced on this level really well. So again, this remains support, 2,636 until proven otherwise. Okay, 2,600 as support, 2,870 as resistance, and if we break above that, then the next level will be $3,000. All right, if I put the balance thing on again, you can see that basically this yearly VWAP is crucial at $3,000, okay, because that means we enter another area of balance here, this high volume cluster, and we're likely to travel all the way to the other side. Okay, similarly, we are inside of this one, so if we come all the way up here and we get rejected and fall back inside, then I think we start going down to all these levels and start taking them out one by one. All right, that's what I've got on Ethereum USD. We can move on to Ethereum BTC. Let's have a look at where we are. Well, Ethereum BTC is holding strong. This previous level of resistance got broken, obviously because of the weakness in Bitcoin. Ethereum outperformed it, so I'm going to put that as green. That should be a level of support as well now. Okay, so for now, this is resistance up here, and this here is support. If we break below that, then we've also got this level, these two levels. Okay, we've got this one here and this one here, which is an important one. Okay, and this one here around about 70,500 sats is where the yearly VWAP is. It's where the value area high of the previous year VWAP also is, and we've got a trend line here that goes all the way back to June. Okay, that should get respected. All right, so on top of that, it's a low volume node as well. All right, so I think this is very strong support at 70,400 sats, 70,500, something like that. Okay, let me be more accurate. 70,490. All right, that's this area here. I circled it. Let's make it a bit clearer. Oh yeah. Okay, this is an area of interest if we do indeed see a bit of weakness on Ethereum. But this is very telling. This is telling me that Ethereum carries on being stronger than Bitcoin, and it's holding up a lot better. So again, for now, just to make it simple, this is support and this is resistance, and I expect the price to range here, just like it did here. Okay, if we break above that one, then this is the next level of resistance. If we break below it, then these two levels is where I'd be looking for, right? 71,800 and 70,500. So that's Ethereum versus BTC. Let's have a look at FODL versus USDT. This is on OkEx, and we broke below that level of support, unfortunately. Okay, so this now becomes resistance, right? So let me just put a little line there. I'm going to make that one as red. Okay, so this is resistance now until proven otherwise. And support, well, there's not enough historical price action to gauge anything from it, right? All we know is that this level was a previous level of support, so it's now going to be a resistance. And now we have to look at big round numbers such as 1200 or 1250, 1000, and so on. Okay, so let's have a look at FODL versus USDC. I'll probably just be updating levels here. Alright, so actually after that big dump, the market didn't react very well. So okay, so this now is resistance, and the next level of support could be way down here. Okay, could be also 11 cents, 12 cents actually. Let's do 12 cents, big round numbers. Okay, so 12 cents and then 11, and then 10. Okay, as levels of support, just big round numbers. We are below the currently value area low of the VWAP as well, and yeah, so just plenty of resistance above us. Okay, so yeah, as long as Bitcoin continues dumping, then I'm afraid all of these old coins will get dragged down with it as well, unfortunately. So that's just the way it is. FODL versus ETH. So we are at this previous level of support, but it looks like we're kind of trying to break it. So I'm going to put that as orange. Okay, it looks like we've just been rejected there. So this here is support, and this here is resistance. And we'll call this orange line here I'll put it as dotted. Okay, and make it a little bit fainter, as a midpoint, if you like, equilibrium. All right, so what I expect the price to do here is, this is resistance and this is support, right? Consolidation, expansion, consolidation, expansion. So now this level here, which is previous support, turns to resistance, and this previous resistance turns to support. So what is likely to happen is that the price just goes like this. Okay, of course we've got that middle line here, right? That could have some significance, so you just have to bear that in mind. It's a good place to take profit if you're in a long trade or in a short trade, but that's essentially it. You're just range trading until proven otherwise. Okay, if the markets tank, if Bitcoin decides to tank, then it's very likely that it's going to drag everything down with it. Okay, so just please bear that in mind. Binance versus USD. Let's have a look if it's doing what I said it would do. Well, I put a little circle there to explain that this is the value area low of the current year's VWAP, and that this level here of support would be an important one. And even though we had a massive dump, where did it bounce? Right there. Okay, so I'm going to make that a little bit lower, like, look at that, right there. All right, so again, I expect the price, look, this was resistance, the yearly VWAP, the value area low was support, and so we just do this. That's what we're doing. We're just kind of ranging, right? So we either go sideways now, we stay below 400 and above 370, okay? Go sideways until we break to either side. Break above, this here is the next level of resistance, and it's a significant one, of course. As you can see here, we got rejected there, the yearly VWAP, okay? If we break below, then this here should be a significant level of support, even though it's been battered, right? So you have to bear that in mind. That liquidity is probably largely consumed. It could hold for once or twice, but potentially if it's a big dump, we could end up all the way down here around about $330, $320. All right, that's all I've got for BNB versus BTC versus USD. Sorry, BNB versus BTC. Well, Binance Coin holding, just going sideways, right? It's not done anything. It's just gone sideways. So when you look at BNB BTC, it's just amazing because it's not showing the same weakness as Bitcoin. So it rallied, okay? But we now are at a very important level. So let me just delete these scribbles. Okay, so look at where it bounced. We couldn't get above the yearly VWAP, right? It got rejected there. We bounced on this level of support. We broke above it with quite some violence. And now we've kind of tested it. It went over it, but it's still this level here. The low volume nodes, man. These low volume nodes hold, right? So it held as support. And of course, it holds. It got tapped, got like 3 or 4 taps there. And it rallied. Rather than just ranging, as soon as it got above the yearly VWAP, all the algorithms get triggered. And boom, it rallied. So where are we now? We're way up here. This is a low volume area on the volume profile, and it's also the value area high of the current year's VWAP. So this is an important level of resistance. Would I be going long here? Hell no. This is a very good place to enter short, right? So this is resistance, and this level here is support now. Okay, if we in fact, I'm going to adjust that slightly. Oh no, that was bright there. Okay, I'm looking at this low volume area here. Okay, there's also a low volume there. You can see that there, right? It's exactly where the price bounced. All right, so I'm going to delete that rectangle so it doesn't become confusing. I'm going to delete this one as well because otherwise it's just confusing. It's ranging, right? So this level here, you could say that it's pretty significant because it's got confluence with the yearly VWAP, right? And it's the edge of this little mini distribution. So for now, I think that this is support and that is resistance. And so the price now should get dragged down all the way back here, and then we start ranging. Impulse, range. Impulse, range. That's how it happens usually, okay? Of course, I could be wrong. If I am wrong, this level here, okay, is important, all right? So if we break above it, and it looks like it's coming down, but it's actually just testing the edges, I wouldn't short that. This is support here, okay? So if we break back inside of this cluster here, then we've got a low volume area, right? So the most likely thing is that we come all the way up there. You know, Binance Coin just going sideways whilst everything is dumping is very bullish, right? So I can't not consider that. But at the moment we are at resistance, and I'd be very stupid to long at resistance. Okay, so at these levels you really want to be looking at a pullback, right? And again, like I said, this is the area that you want to buy. Okay, break below that, then of course we've got this low volume node here as well, right? And we've got the edge of another volume cluster just down here as well. All right, so that's what I've got. So you've got levels of support, you've got levels of resistance, okay, and targets if we break above resistance. Moving on to Binance versus ETH. Again, looking very strong, right? So I'm going to move that to the side a second. We've got the same situation like I showed you a couple of charts ago. I'm going to put that as an orange line, and I'm going to make it slightly as a midpoint, so to speak, right? This is the range right now, okay? We got rejected from the previous balance down here, right? So this is the range. You can see that we just broke above the yearly VWAP there as well, okay? This could well be resistance right now, all right? So we could just kind of like fall back inside of this area here, right? That's something to keep in mind. But we could also bounce on this previous level here, which is previous resistance, right? Resistance, 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 resistance. Eventually it breaks above it. Okay, so if the price now does something like this, and confirms this as support, then this is the next target, and I think we're on the upper distribution, right? If the market comes all the way down here and confirms this is resistance, it will go all the way down there. Okay, so immediately this level here is support, but it's only interim support. It's the point of control of this distribution, right? It's the midpoint, if you like. If you were long here, this is a good place to take profit, right? Now, if you're long, this is the good place to take profit and perhaps stock a short position. All right, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your money, but this is what I'm seeing right now. Okay, so quite simple. Red is resistance, green is support. The yellow line is a friction point, and we've also got the yearly VWAP, which is where we're at right now. Okay, so that's Binance versus BTC. Sorry, Binance versus ETH. Moving on to AAVE versus USD. Again, just going between support and resistance, support and resistance. See these candles? Volatility in the market. The levels that I give you of support and resistance are, are spot on, right? This also has confluence with the value area low of the current year's VWAP, right? So if we break below that, that's bearish, and we go all the way down here, and we start ranging down here. But for now, we are just inside of that one. All right, break above that. This here is the next level of resistance, along with the yearly VWAP, just there. Okay, guys. And of course, if we break above that, then we go higher. But I don't think we would. There's not enough strength in the market at the moment. AAVE versus BTC. We got rejected here at the midpoint, right? Same situation again. So support is way down here. So I think it's probably on its way all the way down to here. Okay, to the value area low. If we break above and we manage to get above the midpoint, then this here is the next level of resistance. Okay, nothing much has changed there. AAVE versus ETH, again, nothing much has changed there. We're still inside the same range. This is support, this here is resistance. So we're still inside of this range. Okay. Compound versus USD, very much the same thing. We kind of had a little deviation to the upside there, but very much the same thing. This is support, this is resistance, and so we just go sideways we go until we break to either side. Okay, important to say that if we break below, this is all-time, is it all-time lows? Oh no, it's not, but I mean, yeah, it is all-time lows down here, pretty much. Okay, so if we break below this level of support, then this here is pretty much the line in the sand. Okay, if we lose that, compound below $80 is unseen. So, but let's not think about that just yet. We're at $100. $100 is always going to be a strong level of support, right? It's a big round number as well, but it would be really handy if we could just get back inside of this value area low. Okay, that's the value area high, that's the value area low. It'd be really good if we can get inside of that value area. Meanwhile, compound versus BTC, very much the same thing. As you can see here, support, this is resistance. So we're just kind of rotate between those 2 points, right? I went with this one here just to be on the safe side because that's where we bounced before. But potentially this could be the level of support, and such be doing something like this. All right. Compound versus ETH. Well, to me, that's proved that that's definitely resistance. Okay, so the market rallied, tried to get to that above that level, and it couldn't. And it's also the value area low of that VWAP. Yeah, I wonder why the volume went. Okay, so yeah, at the moment we're just kind of seeing if we can get acceptance above this level. That's resistance. This here is support. All right, fail that one and it's a long way down to this level down here. But if we break above it, we're inside the value area of this year's volume, and the next target would be here. Okay, so if we do something like this, we'd be targeting those levels up there. But for now, we're just ranging. All right, BAT versus USD. Right, let me just clean up a little bit. You can see this here, this is resistance, and this is resistance. Okay, see, point of control there, low volume node. This is support down here as well. Right, it should be support. Actually, it's not because we're below it now. Okay, so support is way down here, 49.8. So there we are. So let me just delete those lines. It's just easier if I start again. Delete all the scribbles. Okay, this is resistance. This here is support. All right. There's a low volume node right in the middle there. Okay. Is that accurate? Why hasn't it got a line on there? Okay, because that's a big ledge there. That's why. Okay. Either way, this is resistance, and this here is support. So I expect the price to just rotate like this. I don't like this. I'm going to put another line there just because there's a low volume area there. So for me, that's resistance. Okay, so I think we range inside of this distribution. That's what I'm seeing on BAT versus USD. So somewhere between 50 and 61. Between 50 and 60, let's say. And if we look at that rectangle that I had there before, that's basically, if you look at the technical analysis update that I gave you guys before, that's basically what I was looking at, okay? So this was kind of the midpoint. This was original resistance from this range. Okay, we bounced at 63 or whatever it was for quite some time, 63 cents. And now we've gotten below 60 cents. So we're on our way to 50. And that's basically it. So 50 cents should be strong support, as you know, is a big round number. BAT versus BTC. Well, that level did act as support, so it's safe to put it as green. Okay, and so again, I expect the price to just do this, right? Just ranging sideways. This is support and this is resistance. Break above it, that's the next level of resistance. Break below it, this here is the next level of support. Okay, BAT versus ETH. Support is doing its job. This is resistance. I expect the price to carry on doing this. Okay. If we break below this line of support, this here should be the next support. If we break above it, then here, which is the view up as well, should be strong resistance. Okay, but you can see this is where right at the value area low of the previous year. Link versus USD. Well, Link showing a little bit of weakness there. That line did not act as support. Okay, it is indeed resistance, and we kind of like on that market rally or dump, we kind of rallied up and then straight back down again. So we're just going sideways here, and I believe that that's the case now. All right, although we are inside. This is interesting. Okay, so you see this gray box here. So this is the previous year's value area. So I'm going to put that as blue. Okay, and we are back inside it. Okay, so if we cannot get back above this, I think that there's a very strong chance that we come all the way to this level here, right, at $7.50, and potentially all the way down to $3.64 or $4. Okay, but we're quite far away from that. For now, I think we just kind of range sideways here. All right, but this edge of this line here is important. Okay, as you can see here. Okay, this rectangle, you can see here that when the market did rally, right, when Link did rally, where did it stop? It stopped right there on the edge of that, okay, around about $12. So that's important. Okay, that's the value area high of the previous year's VWAP. The VWAP closed here. Okay, that's the standard deviation 1, or the value area high. This is the standard deviation -1, which is the value area low. And that's basically where we are inside. Okay, Link versus BTC. Okay, these levels really need updating. So this is resistance, resistance, resistance. This was support, support, and now we've broken below it. Okay, previous support turns to resistance. This was previous support down here. Okay, and I expect it's a low volume area because I've put a rectangle there. So I expect that this is now support. Okay, so we just range sideways. Break above this line here, and you can see that we'd be range bound there, right? But this is going to be significant resistance. You can see the value area low very closely approximating there. And of course, this here is previous support, and it's not been tested as resistance yet. So that's a high probability trade. If the price gets all the way up there, that's resistance and that's a short. Moving on swiftly to Link versus ETH. Link versus ETH. Unsurprisingly weak because ETH has been looking so strong, and so this level here is support and this level here is resistance until proven otherwise. Okay, so I expect the price, the summary of the movements really are kind of just ranging here after an impulse especially. Okay, just ranging there, and you can pause the video in a minute and you can look at all these different levels. Moving on to Uniswap versus US dollar. So, yeah. This is a little bit confusing. Let me just delete all of this first. So, quite simply, this is previous support. And now we've come back down. We've bounced on this level of support now. And of course, this is going to be resistance. Previous support flips to resistance, okay? It's also the value area low of this VWAP. As you can see, that's the value area high, this is the value area low, and there's the VWAP, right? So I expect this level here to hold as very strong resistance for now. So price should do this. There's also a little bit of consolidation there. This is previous resistance down here, and indeed the edge of another high volume cluster. So it's safe to assume why did I put that there? Just one. Okay, I can see that now. It's the edge of a high volume node there. You can see big high volume distribution. Okay, and that's why I put that rectangle there. Okay, and this one here is a different one. It's a distribution inside a distribution, if you like. There's two there, right? So yeah, sorry to overcomplicate things. This here is resistance. This here is resistance. This here is support, and the price will rotate sideways until it breaks to either side. Okay, break above it, these will be the next levels of resistance. Break below it, and this should be strong support. Uni versus BTC. Interesting. So this level here, I'm going to put it as orange, and I might do the little thing making it a little bit more faint like this. Okay, so Just delete the scribbles actually. Okay, we're just tapping the value area low here of the current year's VWAP, right? This could prove a little bit of resistance, but we've also got even stronger resistance just here. Either way, you can see this is a distribution there, right? In fact, I'm going to do, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move this slightly down, this red line. I'm going to put it there. Okay, that's, you can see that that was previous support as well. That's resistance until proven otherwise. So we're quickly, excuse me, quickly approaching resistance here. Would I be wanting to go long there? No, of course not. The only way I'd go long there is if the price does this, breaks inside this previous balance here, and then confirms it as support. Then this here is your long, okay? And we're targeting that previous year or the current year's VWAP, right? That's the only way I'd go long there. At this point, we're at the highs, so this is resistance. Support is way down here, okay? And we've got the little middle line there that we've got to be wary of. So this could actually now just could roll over like this, and it could even avoid this altogether. It could bounce here in the middle. That's why I've put that line there, okay? Look, previous consolidation there. All right, so the midline is important. Please take that in consideration. But for now, this is resistance and this is support. So I expect the price to just range between those 2 points. Okay, break below that, and I think this here is the next level of support. You break above this, and this here will be the next level of resistance. Finally, we move on to Uni versus Ethereum. And now this is surprising. Uniswap looking strong against Ethereum. So this level has proved itself. So this is definitely support now, even though it's a little bit inaccurate. It went below it. There's a deviation there. So I'm going to adjust that slightly. Okay. So we're between the two circles, okay? We just kind of rotate like this. Break above it, this is the next level of resistance. Break below it, this is the next level of support. This one, I'm considering that this is resistance because it's the edge of a little volume cluster there, and it's also, as you can see, previous support, right? But the real level is way up here. As you can see, that's the yearly VWAP, okay? And it was also previous resistance, 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 resistance there, okay? So this is an important level if we break above, okay? But this looks like it wants to break out. And all those guys here, the red candle, that big sell volume candle, are trapped now, okay? So we could potentially have the sort of setup where if I put a little range like this, okay, you've got the halfway line. See how that lines up perfectly? Okay, so resistance at number 1, support at number 0, the 0.5, right? You can even do that little trend line thing like I do sometimes. And dashed line like that, right, as potential support. Okay, so we could actually just do this, right? So we'll have to wait and see. Okay, I'll put a little dotted orange line there because these guys are now trapped, right? So these guys here, these sellers are trapped, and if the price goes up, the pain will be too much for them. So when the price comes close to break even, they'll get out, and the only way that sellers can get out is by buying. So that'll add support to the price. Okay, and that's why we kind of rotate there. I think that's it for now. I've done all of the DeFi coins. Again, apologies for being such a late technical analysis update. I'll just do a quick recap, I suppose. Let's go back onto Bitcoin. I mean, this orange line here is crucial. Okay, we need to break above 37,800 in order to continue or have any chance to continue bullish momentum, because otherwise we're going to go lower. All right, and then at these, if we lose this level here, 34,600, that's where the problems start. Okay, because then we're looking at this distribution here as a balance. Okay, and realistically looking at 30,000, 31,000 as the next level of support. Okay, so just bear that in mind. At the moment, I think we're just going to see a range here over the weekend. We've had a crazy week with the FOMC meeting and the CPI prints and the ETF that's just been approved for futures, Bitcoin and everything else. But, you know, the important thing is that we are inside the 2021 value area low, but we are below the current year's value area low. And that's not good. We want the price to get above here, okay, so that we can target this. All right, so 2 trade ideas. Let me just give you some trade ideas. Let's say that the market is just rotating like this, right? If it breaks higher, confirms this as support, that's a long position, and you'll be targeting this level here, right? If it breaks higher and falls back inside the range, that's a short position, and you'll be targeting the other side of the range at least, okay, potentially even lower. All right, and the opposite is true. So let's say that the market comes all the way down here, we break out of this range, okay. If it taps the edge and cannot get back inside, that's a short position, and I'll be targeting these levels down here. However, if it breaks to the downside and falls back inside of the range, well, that's a long position, and I'll be targeting this level here. Okay, range, range, range. What happens? Everybody has their stops here, just above it. So of course you're going to get deviations. That's why you get those wicks to the upside and then fall back inside and it goes the other way, right? Same down here, right? Grab the liquidity, move back up, boom, and it rallies. All right, so just keep that in mind. I'm trying to be as helpful as possible, but it's probably taking too long, so I'm going to shut up now. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you guys were okay with the volatility this week, and that you're using stop losses and good risk management, and that you're not getting yourselves into trouble. I'll have another technical analysis update for you guys on Monday. Monday morning will also be a market review that Renz will publish on his Medium post. But in the meantime, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will speak to you guys on Monday. Cheers. Thank you very much for attending.